Now, I ain't gonna lie, I was a little skeptical about Safari pedals until I actually went out and bought one of their VSTs. And I actually made a video on it to show actually how good it was, which I'll leave a link in the video description on that. And then now they just released a new clipper plugin called the Zebra Clipper. And I ain't gonna lie to you, this thing is kind of dope. Bolo! All right, so Safari Pedals has just released their newest VST plugin. It is called Zebra Clipper. Now, we all know there's a ton of digital clippers on the market right now. Some of them are very simple, and some of them have all the bells and whistles. And to be honest, the Zebra Clipper is probably one of the easiest clippers I've ever used. And it actually sounds pretty good. Now, for some of you guys, you might not know what clippers are, and I'm gonna go ahead and just give you guys a very brief demonstration of what this is. Clippers are basically something to where if you have an audio signal, let's say for instance my hand right here, and you have a point to where you don't want that audio signal to go any further. What will happen is when that audio signal, even if it's louder and it hits that point, what that clipper will do, it will just completely clip off that signal. Now, when it does that, it introduces a type of distortion and it introduces a type of saturation as well. And we all know with saturation, it brings out harmonics. And when you bring out harmonics, things tend to sound a little bit bigger and perceived to be a little bit louder. That's why there's a lot of saturation plugins out here, because back in the day, they used to actually slam the signal into the tape. And with tape saturation, it would make things just sound really big, warm, and perceived to be very loud. Now, if you have tracks that are lacking that overall sound and they may sound a little thin or they don't have that presence to them, you can use a clipper. And if you're mixing sounds and you have them grouped on a bus or like an auxiliary track and you want to bring those sounds to life, you can use a clipper as well. Now, I know that explanation was very general and I didn't really go that deep into it, but if you guys want to learn about clippers and limiters, there's a ton of videos on YouTube that will show you guys that. There's a ton of them, okay? I'm not gonna do that today. But what I will do today is open up a beat session and show you guys how I use Zebra Clipper in that session. So let's go ahead and check out Zebra Clipper right now. All right, so we're in Logic Pro right now. I have a very quick beat that I've made up and I'm gonna show you guys how the Zebra Clipper works. Let's play the beat back really quick. So it's kind of cheesy, but we're just doing this for the tutorial. All right, you see what I'm talking about. So let's go ahead and add the Zebra Clipper to some of the individual sounds to kind of liven these things up. So the first sound I want to use is the clap right here, and this is the clap by itself. Sounds pretty cool, but I think we can drive this up a little bit more to make it sound a little bit bigger and just have a little bit more snap to it. All right, so we got Zebra Clipper in here, and let's just play it with just the default setting on it right now. And immediately it already sounds better. Very subtle, but you can hear a little bit more body into that actual clap right there. It's like a snare clap, but you can hear a little bit more body into it. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and use the Zebra Clipper on this little snare slash clap, and we're gonna see how we can kind of shape this up real quick. So let's go ahead and kind of shape up this this clap, snare, whatever this is. So as you guys can see, I turned the input up a lot and I had to turn the output down because I didn't want this to kind of like mess with your ears to where you're thinking, oh, just because it's louder, it sounds better. I really wanted to just kind of like turn the input up. And what I did was I added a little bit of this mojo on there. And if you guys know anything about that mojo, you know what I'm saying, it'll basically take that signal and it'll kind of give it a little bit more body to it. And then you have the sub boost right here. And then with that, you can go ahead and add a few more lows to it, but I didn't think it needed that. So I went ahead and went through some of the styles, of course, and I felt that the analog style sounded better. The modern style is actually very cool too, but it seems like it adds a little bit more of a top end to it. And the round style is pretty much like what it says. It's more of a rounder effect. I kind of like the analog style to it, and it sounded good to me. So let's go ahead and play it within the context of the beat. And I might turn the snare up and down just depending on the changes that I made. And also inside of the plugin, they have an auto gain feature as well, so you guys can hear what the effect is actually doing and it won't affect the actual sound. Auto gain is cool with me, but I actually like to gain stuff up first and then I like to pull it back in the output so I can kind of, have that feel of that drive going into it, and I can just turn it back down if need be. Different strokes for different folks. So we're going to go ahead and play it with the Zebra Clipper off while the snare is playing within the track. Now let's go ahead and play it with the Zebra Clipper engaged. And as you guys can see, volume-wise, it was pretty much the same. The Zebra Clipper did raise the volume just a little bit, but it wasn't that much to where it just like affected it that much like that. So yes, when you add the Zebra Clipper to it, sometimes it will affect the volume, but as long as you're not like boosting it by 4 or 5 dB, you'll be fine. That way it won't trick your ears into thinking that it sounds better. So that sounds actually good, but I like how the bass sounds in here. I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm gonna add this to the kick drum real quick. All right, so I got the Zebra Clipper on the kick drum. We're gonna go ahead and mess with a few of the controls on here to try to get this kick to kind of stand out in the mix. All right, as you guys can see, it didn't really take me too much to do it. I turned up the input a little bit. I took the mojo, turned that on, and pulled that down because I didn't want too much of a body into it. I really want more of the snap of the kick to be a little bit more present. And as you guys can see, I changed the style to modern, which it gave it a little bit more of a high-end type of a snap to it. And that actually sounded really good. And I actually took the sub boost and took out some of the lows out of it so you can just really hear the body of that kick a little bit more. So it actually sounded really good. And as you guys can see, I went ahead, I didn't really mess with the output too much because I actually wanted to turn it up a little bit, and it just gave that kick a totally different sound and just really transformed that kick into something really cool. So I know a lot of you guys are thinking, what about using this on the whole overall track like a lot of people are doing these days? It's very easy. Just add a Zebra Clipper to it and just mess around with the controls and get it to how you want it to sound. So let's go ahead and add it to the overall track right now. So I have it right here on my master fader, and let's go ahead and bypass it real quick and let's listen to it. Now let's go ahead and engage it real quick. And as you guys can hear, automatically, you can hear that analog style of this plugin. So now let's just hear the difference between just the different styles on this plugin. Immediately you can hear how that analog has that tape type of a sound, and then you have the modern, which is a little bit more open. You hear the high end a little bit more, and then you have that round sound, which definitely does sound rounder. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mess with a few more controls on here just to kind of get it to sound the way I really want it to sound. And I'm probably gonna leave it on this analog style because I kind of like how that low end sounds on here. It's a little exaggerated on that. I probably wouldn't let the bass hit that hard, but as you guys can see, you can really take your tracks and really transform these things. As you guys can see, I turned the input up a little bit more. I kept it on the analog style. I turned the mojo down because I didn't want too much body in the track. And then that sub boost, as you guys can see, as soon as I put it on, it really took that track to a whole nother level. And I turned it down so it wouldn't be too much bass, but I wanted to add a little bit more bass to it. And yeah, this thing is actually very dope. You just got to kind of mess around with it to try to get it to sound exactly the way you want. I'm really just doing this really fast right now just to show you guys what this clipper can do. And that is not just limited to just turning things up and down. You can really take a sound and really transform it to the way that you want. I probably might take a little bit more sub out of this and maybe a little bit more mojo, but for the sake of the tutorial, I really want you guys to see what you can do with this, how easy it is to work with this, and how dope this clipper plugin is. So if you're looking for a good clipper, you might want to check this out. All right, so there it is, Zebra Clipper by Safari Pedals. If you guys like what you see and like what you heard, go ahead and click the link in the video description and get Zebra Clipper today. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys learned something from it. And like I always say, peace out.